Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Wallach, from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, the heart of the state of California. A lot of heart going on here. I say that each week, and actually I seek to experience it each and every moment of each and every day. And it starts with, before I open my eyes in the morning, giving thanks and gratitude for the gift that this day is, and setting an intention that today, this gift, I'm going to live it at the highest, greatest degree of livingness that I can, experience it as best that I'm able, knowing that I have a bigger God than anything life can bring at me, that there are no obstacles that cannot be met. And I hope you do the same in your day, and I'm glad you're with us today. We're continuing on in our look at this thing called life, written by Dr. Ernest Holmes. And last time we were in chapter 2. I'm going to finish up in the last page of chapter 2 and move into 3. Don't know if I'll get through all of 3 today. Got some really good stuff in there that I want to spend a little time with, but there's 2 things I want to do as we get started here. First is in what we call the textbook, The Science of Mind. Dr. Ernest Holmes writes, and you'll find this on page 69 in the bottom of the second paragraph. And he says here, the world of multiplicity is many things, but the world of multiplicity does not contradict the world of unity. For the many live in the one. This concept of unity is the mystical secret of the ages, the key to spiritual wisdom and to the teachings of Jesus. The multiplicity contained within the unity. And we're going to talk about living in this thing called life in a rather unique sort of way. But finishing up, the end of chapter 2, Holmes writes, he says, life does not condemn, nor does it punish. There is no condemnation and no judgment other than the logical reactions of our own acts. Punishment and unhappiness are punishment and unhappiness are the logical reactions that we experience. If our acts, as they must, spring from our inward thought, then it follows that when we change our inward states, we shall at the same time change their sequence and their outcome. Life mirrors back to us that which we first create within ourselves. No one can live life for us. We have to live it ourselves. Living life at an ever greater and higher degree of livingness means, experiencing life in a more optimistic, more open, more harmonious, more peace-filled inner expression. And it starts within us. So we have the power. No one can do it for us. And it's hard for some people to understand. But truth is, there are no victims, and there is no victimhood. There are tough conditions, no doubt about it. And there are people that have been held down in tough conditions because of their own beliefs. But as we realize the truth of who we are, we begin to realize the power that's available to us. One of the things that has motivated me through my journey that led me to this point today is to share and to teach so that people that see life as a struggle begin to see life as a challenge, that they have a bigger God. They got a greater toolbox with more resources. But we have to learn, we have to grow, we have to have faith. And we have to recognize this thing called life and our relationship to it. And so in chapter 3, Holmes says, life goes on, but are we making the most of this thing called life? He says, we can imagine a fish being told that he is surrounded by water, but not quite realizing what this means. And Holmes uses this metaphor of a fish in water to define and to relay the idea of us in our experience and expression of life. Life is what we live. Life is what we experience, but life is what experiences us and expresses through us. We tend to define livingness by looking from within to the out and saying, okay, that's alive and that's alive and that's not alive and this is not alive. But truth be told, the idea of a universal divine intelligence that is creative, that has created all that is, not only is it the source of life, but it is the livingness of life. It is life. There's no place where it doesn't exist. So although we may not define this in terms of life as we normally do, it's still a part of this thing called life. We are immersed in, surrounded by, but we are also lived as it lives through us in this thing that we experience in our life. When we open ourselves up to that kind of a concept, our relationship to it, our understanding of our relationship to it, has the potential for change. And as we change that, we become more connected with the truth of who we are, more connected with the power that we express in our life, more connected with the good that we have every right to expect in our day-to-day life experience. He says, perhaps some wise old fish might say, it's come down to us through tradition that in ancient times our ancestors knew about this wonderful ocean of life. We live in this ocean of life. Awesome thought. He says, as a matter of fact, we are in this water of infinite life. Just as the fish is in the ocean, the spirit of life is all around us. It flows through us. It permeates everything. It is the essence of all form and flows through every condition. And yet, we are still looking for it. What we look for, we unwittingly look at, but fail to recognize. Humanity has been on this journey to find spirituality, to find God, to find goodness, to find harmony, to find peace. And we are always looking outside of ourselves and attempting to control the outside conditions to meet what we define as that which we want. When we begin to realize that by defining within ourselves and expressing within ourselves those conditions, they begin to express in our life and around us. One of the things that, as we look out, there's a lot of chaos out in the world right now. Boy, it's crazy, right? And, people are at people's throat, and there's accusations, and that's just in the local communities. You get out in the national, it's just nuts, right? And everybody's got, they've got the solution by accusing, by trying to control, by being offended or triggered or whatever. And it's all about, look what the outside is doing to me that is creating unhappiness in my life, instead of saying, you know what? Happiness is the core of my being. Peace is the core of my being. Power is the core of my being. Creativeness is the core of my being. And there's nothing outside of me that can affect that. But the way that I think about it is the director, if you will, of the experience that I'm experiencing. That's why I chose to take time and go through this little book, because when we begin to see that our expression in life and life expressing through us as our life, and our connectedness with it, how empowered we are, literally, forget about the outside. Jesus said, go into that secret place of the Most High. That's to be found within us. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is found within. I and my Father are one, and we can go through all the different things that he tried to teach. And he not only tried to teach for the time, but he tried to teach for all ages. What he didn't do was try to create a new religion. But that's what sprang up around him. Holmes goes on to say, says, today, this minute, your mind is an outlet through which this invisible but intelligent energy, life, is operating. It is operating creatively through you at this very moment, and whether you know it or not, believe it or not, today, it is creating and recreating every cell in your body. It is molding and remolding every situation and condition in your environment. You know, we talk about like spiritual mind healing, and we'll get into that more, and we've covered it more in other shows. But consider, in today's world, we think about that prescription or that procedure that a doctor's going to do for us to help us heal, to heal us oftentimes. And we think of our relationship to the medical profession as that profession which keeps us in health and keeps us healthy. But truth be told, there's not a single medical doctor out there that will heal you. All they can do is rearrange things or give you a prescription that will rearrange things that allows the body an easier way of healing itself, because it's the body that heals itself, not the doctor. It's the body that seeks to express life, greater and higher degrees of livingness, even when we're not consciously aware of it. But when we begin to unite the mind and the body and recognize that we are this thing called life expressing as us, that we really begin to be empowered. We're going to take our first break, and we'll pick this up when we come back.
When you need to get fit, contact Gary Torres, IFBB Pro, specializing in weight loss, body transformations, and contest prep. Email GaryTorres5336@yahoo.com.
Hey, I'm Christopher. Tune in every Friday night on CentralValleyTalk.com when I bring you Sex, Drugs, Christopher, where I'll give you 3 guesses on what we talk about. And I also vow to bring you 1 live local music act a week. So tune in every week, because you never know what kind of music you're going to hear right here on CentralValleyTalk.com.
The Space Colony Journals are an epic tale of a family's struggle to survive. Meet the courageous women and dangerous men who dare to carve a home on the alien world of Vensug. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon and GaleDailiesFineArt.com.
At Laulea Travels, we strive to make your vacation experience as relaxing as possible. From the time you start dreaming about it to the time you're sharing your vacation photos with your friends and coworkers. Our vow is to treat your vacation as if it were our own. If personal service, attention to detail, and years of travel experience are important to you, then let Laulea Travels plan your next dream vacation. Visit lauleatravels.com or call 559-360-1933.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell's Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell's Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell's Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Contact Sarah Hernandez of June and Matt Photography to schedule your portrait, engagement, wedding, or next family photo session. But that's not all. Sarah is also your personal brandographer, helping you ditch the stock photos and get images that sell. Call 559-412-3721. Visit juneandmattphoto.com and follow Sarah on Instagram and Facebook. The Sanger Chamber of Commerce provides resources, networking opportunities, and support for local businesses, and also plans events for the community. Visit the City of Sanger and become a member of the Sanger Chamber today. Call 559-875-4575 or visit sanger.org.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss G. I offer fun and affordable promotion and advertisement on my talk show. It is called Fresno Vibes. We talk, we play awesome music. I also feature a bunch of different bartenders from different places. I like to have restaurants. I like to have any event, any kind of fun stuff. Contact me at rmgmissg@gmail.com and we will have so much fun and we will promote your business, promote your event right here on my show. So contact me. We'll have fun. Thank you.
Give your child the tools to succeed. The Yergubian Academic Center offers one-on-one and group educational lessons by appointment. Over 90% of our students show significant improvement in their academics in just 3 months. Students of the Yergubian Academic Center have gone on to UCLA, UC San Diego, Yale, Stanford, and many more prestigious universities. Schedule a tutoring session today. Call 559-437-3973.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, Reverend Steve Walling. You know, one of the things that's often missed is the understanding of how the relationship between man and God changed between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And in the Old Testament, it was more belief, and the relationship to God was more about the deeds, the things that one did. When we move into the New Testament with the teachings of Jesus, it's more about the belief and the faith that one has. He really was a radical teacher in his day. And there's a lot that has come about since his passing that has been taught in his name that doesn't necessarily align with what he actually taught. But the things that he did teach that we are pretty sure that he taught are powerful, awesome things. I'm going to go on here. Holmes says, the life by which we are surrounded is the essence of all life, the substance of every form, the intelligence back of every act. Life is, like I said early on in the show today, no matter where you look and around yourself, out into space, conceptualize something beyond space, conceptualize something beyond creation. It's still this thing called life, because this thing called life is that energy, that divine intelligence that created, that lives through us, expresses as us. Awesome to think about. He says, life creates by making things out of itself. Let us think of life as pure spirit, creating through the agency of its word. We talk about its word, and we talk about when we speak our word, it's not about the actual word itself. It's about the the thought image that is created within consciousness. And the same as we understand the divine creative process. So, he says, let us start with this simple proposition that life, which is spirit or intelligence, is the sole and only creative agency in the universe. This life principle always existed, will always continue to exist, and you are some part of its self-expression. We are eternal beings, spiritual beings, some part of the greater whole, a unity. The importance of understanding that as we consider this in today's lesson is that so many of us today, unfortunately, look out into the world through our eyes and we see, like I said early in the show, that life is somewhere out there. There's us and then there's the other, whatever the other is. And if we live our day-to-day life experience and expression from that perspective, then we are separate. Even if we seek to experience and express a spiritual faith and belief, if we see ourselves as not a union, a unity with the greater whole, a oneness, then we see ourselves outside of the divine creation, outside of God. And there are a lot of people that do, and they live that way. When we revert back to tribal consciousness, which is early on in the human development, a way that humanity lived at one time. There was the tribe, and then there was whatever was outside the tribe, and that was most often something to be feared, to be conquered. As we evolve, as we understand this consciousness that we talk about often in New Thought of the I amness, the oneness, there is no other, that we are all part of the same one, we're all part of that. Now, we look out into the world and we see a lot of stuff going on, right? And we say, how can I be part of that or at one with that? And yet the truth is we are. Sometimes we have to establish healthy boundaries, but the other side of that boundary is still the divine expressing. We are that fish in that water of life, in all life. And that life is God, and that life is good. Now, we may not experience it as good in the here and now, but the more that we begin to see that within ourselves, the more we'll see it in the outside world, but we got to get there. If we see ourselves and we see the other, whether it be within our individual, within our family, our community, however we self-define our tribe, what we're doing is we're seeing an expression. We are actually creating that which we say that we fear, that we don't want. You know, there is an inherent drive within each of us to be happy. When we realize that that drive is only satisfied when we create that happiness within ourselves, that the outside can't do that for us. But in the thing is, as we do it for ourselves, we're actually creating it in the outside world beyond ourselves. For ourselves and for all else, as we lift ourselves up, we lift literally we lift the rest of creation up. It's a concept beyond most people's day-to-day conscious thought, but that idea, what is often called the butterfly effect, that one single individual in one event can not only change their immediate expression, but they can change the expression of all that's around them and beyond that. They can change the world. You can change the world. You can change your life. You live that life, but that life is God, is you. So he says, let's start with the simple proposition that life, which is spirit or intelligence, is the sole and only creative agency in the universe. This life principle always existed, will always exist, and you are a part of its self-expression. The intelligence of life is our intelligence. He says, we've all been trying to find out just what our relationship to life is. That's been part of the human spiritual journey. How do we see God? How do we understand God? Is God the guy that walked through the garden or lives on the top of, some mountain somewhere, or out in beyond the reaches of space, or just beyond the dome of what appears to be the sky? Or is God the very breath we breathe, the very thought we think? We are all part of the family of God. We're all part of that oneness. He says our difficulty is that we have been trying to unite that which was never divided, because we start with a position of me. I was reading, it's one of the publications put out by the Alcoholics Anonymous organization, and it's written by a fella who has a personal relationship to my family generations back. But he was talking about what he perceived to be one of the larger impediments to individuals coming to that point of recognizing that they have an issue with this addiction. And you can look at it from alcohol, drugs, anything else. And what he was talking about is, as he perceived it, is the individual ego, okay? And I'm not going to go into the depth of explanations that he went into, but the basic concept is the ego as our it's like the fence that we create around our beingness, the psychological, the mental, the fence of consciousness that says, this is me. This is the territory that I've staked out. And, no trespassing allowed. But that which we have created to protect ourselves is also that which keeps us apart from the greater good that we are, the expression that we live. And I thought it was a rather unique, or not unique, but an interesting concept. But it transcends addictions, and it moves into our day-to-day life experience in a way, to that extent that we hold ourselves apart from, to that extent we don't see ourselves as a part of, so to speak. He says one of the world's greatest biologists stated the mind is the only creative agency science has ever discovered. And a world-famous physicist and Nobel Prize winner has stated that science has made no discovery which contradicts the belief in an infinite spirit to which we have a direct relationship. Jesus proclaimed the kingdom of heaven is within us, that God within us, the Word of God and the power of God within us. And that was so radical back in the day. But it's still radical today for so many people, even people that are part of an organized faith, because they don't see that. When I say they don't see it, I'm not talking about just thinking about it. I'm talking about an experiential seeingness, if you will, of the truth of who they are. And that was the truth that the master teacher tried to share back in the day. That's the truth that was captured in some of the teachings that he laid down. And that's the truth that is as powerful and as true today as it was when he spoke the words. He says, this divine union which Jesus proclaimed, we must rediscover and make use of, for we know that God can do anything. With God, all things are possible. Do you know you've got a bigger God than anything that can pop up, express, or experience in your life? Do you understand what that means for you, the power available to you? The prayer of protection, the power of God protects. Presence of God watches over. Wherever you are, God is there. And if God's there, all is well. Think about that. What does that mean to you? He says one of our leading psychologist tells us that when we get back of the individual and the collective unconsciousness, which means the sum total of our individual subjective reactions plus our subjective reactions to the race mind. He says we discover an entity, a person, an ego, in this sense a little bit different, that has never become disintegrated. Is this different from the admonition of Jesus to be perfect even as the indwelling Spirit is perfect? Be ye perfect, even as my Father in heaven is perfect. You can know that. Think about that. We're going to take our next break. I'll see you when we come back.
Are you thinking of selling your home? Since 2004, the Souza Group, brokered by eXp Realty, has specialized in premier property listings and sales located in the Clovis Unified and North Fresno markets. The Souza Group will do their best to exceed your expectations. Visit clovisunifiedhomes.com. Accomplish more with Gold Rush Merchant Services, powered through electronic payments. Flat rate payment processing for businesses. Transparent pricing that saves you up to 40% in processing fees. Other payment processors take a percentage of every transaction and add fees. Call Gold Rush Merchant Services CEO Gil Dowling at 559-536-0588. The Sanger Chamber of Commerce provides resources, networking opportunities, and support for local businesses, and also plans events for the community. Visit the City of Sanger and become a member of the Sanger Chamber today. Call 559-875-4575 or visit sanger.org. Did you know most hair and beauty salons in the Central Valley are not disposing of their chemicals correctly? Partner with us today to become an eco-friendly salon. Visit us online at greenbeautywaste.com. Our phone number is 559-367-7206. And be sure to visit us on Instagram and Facebook at Green Beauty Waste. If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service. 559-213-9430 and visit cleanmasterflood.com.
Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Forget about the higher good of food, right? You're growing a product that people enjoy really all over the world. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I think about that all the time. I think about the families sitting around a table, enjoying a meal. I just see that what we do brings families together.
I mean, we're blessed. We're in paradise for food.
The Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot, located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California. The Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at kernfamilyfarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today. Doctor in Sukasa allows you to connect with your doctor when you need a quick treatment. Avoid a trip to a medical clinic or emergency room and connect by video with your doctor from your home, work, or anywhere. Just go to drinsukasa.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Dr. in Sukasa provides quality care that is convenient, bilingual, and affordable, so you are never left without access to health care. Visit drinsukasa.com today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. It's an awesome book. If you don't have it, I highly recommend you get it. It's available on Amazon. If you belong to a CSL center, more than likely they have a bookstore, and they can order it for you if it's not there, but generally they have a copy. Holmes says, and I want you to think about this, every longing and yearning you have ever had, every secret desire of your soul, every constructive ambition you have ever had, is a whispering of life with a capital L. Life meaning spirit, meaning first cause, meaning source, meaning God, assuring you that you are one with it. That doesn't mean that some of those things that we may want, that means we take from someone else, is contained within that description, because it's not. It means every desire of your heart that you've had that is in alignment with principle is a recognition of the unity, the oneness of all, is essentially awaiting you to be experienced in this expression of your life. He says it's life assuring you that you are one with it. You are a concrete manifestation, a personification of life, of God. You are a center where life passing through you becomes a definite, distinct, unique individualization of itself. And why wouldn't it want to express at a greater and higher degree in your expression of life? That's really our purpose, is to live life and to live it more abundantly. He says, if you'll take time daily, and this is where the rubber begins to meet the road, so to speak. He says, if you will take time daily to sense the presence of life, of the divine spirit within you, to believe in it, to have faith, to accept it, it will not be long before the life which you have known will gradually disappear and something new will be born, a bigger, better, and more perfect you. We live in a society, a consciousness of quick fix, take a pill, turn the channel. Life in our current configuration of it basically tells us that we're not responsible for our expression. And if you recall, when I opened up the show today, I said, there are no victims. And yet we look out in the world and we, no doubt about it, there's a lot of hardship out there. No doubt about it. And I'm not diminishing that in any way. But I am telling you it doesn't have to be that way. And the responsible individual for creating a greater and better life experience for all is us, each of us, individually, by seeking to create a greater relationship between us and the divine, and allowing ourselves to be a greater expression of that. And as we do lift everything up with us. And so Holmes says, if you will take time daily to sense the presence of life within you. Because we are so bombarded with stuff, including the squirrel cage of chatter that runs in the back of our daily mind, our consciousness, that it masks, it hides what sits just below that. And that is within each of us, every one of us. You are an incredible gift to the world, to yourself. You are God expressed as you, the divine, however you want to explain the spiritual creative beingness of all that is. Consciousness, conscious intelligence. You are. How awesome is that? And how tragic it is that so many people, basically tie themselves up into a bondage of beliefs in limitation and separation. And not only are they living what we could say is a tragic life experience, but they're also creating more tragedy in the world around them. And it's not about going out and telling somebody else how to live. It's about living that ourselves, being that light. One of the things about light, think about this. If you were the most incredible, brilliant light in the vast emptiness of space, and you looked out, all you would see is darkness, no matter how brightly you may have shone. And, Dr. Holmes says that consciousness created so that it would have something to be conscious of. And maybe that's kind of the understanding of what he was relaying. But for us, as individual expressions of life, if we look out and we allow our light to shine ever brighter, and we put ourselves out into the arena of life, it's not the egoic satisfaction of look what I did or look, what's coming back to me, but it's a realization that we see that light, because in truth, the light that shines from each of us is the light of life, the light of divine principle. And as it moves and expresses through us and out, that we can see it, and it is reflected back to us from others in life, in our expression. And that's exciting. I mean, it's an amazing thing. We get caught up in all our stuff. But if we can put that stuff aside, it's an amazing thing. But we start by practicing daily, taking time, as Holmes says. Take time daily to sense the presence of life within you. Now, we call that meditation. We call that prayerfulness. Taking time. He says, when we do that, you'll soon discover that when you recognize this life in yourself, you will recognize and you will see it in others. And that's what I was just talking about. You'll see it in others. And it will respond to you through them and to them through you. It will be like calling someone by their name. It will respond, and it will know that it is responding, because you'll feel the response. You will engage in a life expression and experience that so many people miss the opportunity to do that. Joel Goldsmith called it practicing the presence of God. If you have Goldsmith's books available to you, it's very good reading. Practicing all the time. Letting your life shine. Letting your life shine, letting your life shine. He says, every person is some part of God, whether or not they know it or believe it. but we hypnotize ourselves into thinking that we are incomplete and imperfect. We identify ourselves with the fantastic pictures of our morbid dreams, but the ropes that bind us are ropes of sand, and the ropes of mind, our mind, that we hold as beliefs. We believe in limitation, and in that belief in limitation, we believe in separation, and in that belief of separation, we believe in things that we call evil, and we place judgment upon it, and we get preoccupied with it, and we focus on it, and we fail to take the time to focus on the true power, the true presence of the divine that lives within us, that expresses as life through us. There's one life. That life is God. That life is our life now. There's a time when this planet didn't have life, and yet all the precursors were here for life to begin, and life did begin. And since the beginning of life, as I've said on so many occasions through my show here, it's still that one life. That life has never died. It just continues to grow and express. Yes, physical bodies come and go, but life expands and moves on. Spiritually, we're not tied to this physicalness. Spiritually, we express and we move on to ever greater, more expansive, more awesome expressions. In my Father's house are many mansions, we were told. Still available to us today. You know, there was no time limit on that teaching. He didn't say, if you don't get it now, you'll never get it. He didn't say it'll run out. The great, amazing thing in that is, no matter where we're at, it's still available to us. So he says, Holmes goes on to say, he says, let it keep this as simple as this. There is but one life, and we are using it. If you follow this method, the time will come when your problems of experiencing evil will be solved. Again, he's defining evil as anything that is in disharmony with life itself. He says there may be some who think that before they can accept this position, they must become profound philosophers, spiritual sages, or persons of deep scientific understanding, that they stand apart from the rest of the world. He says, this is not true. He said, what the wisest have known is only a little more than what you and I know. Excuse me. He says, they cannot answer your questions for you. You will have to answer them for yourself. Even the best person who has ever lived could not live for you. You will have to live for yourself. You do not have to borrow power from anyone. You don't have to take from anyone. You don't have to limit anyone. You are compelled to live your own life, to think your own thoughts, to experience your own beingness. Start with this simple proposition. Life is. It is natural goodness and kindness. It is peace for and wholeness. This life flows through me. This life is in everyone and in everything. Therefore, I am one with it and all people and all things and all events. That's us. He says we are using the law of life every time we think, with every desire we have, with every expression that we express. We're going to take one last brief break, and I'll see you, and we'll close out when we come back.
Hi everyone, I am Sparkle Sujin with the Everything Sparkle Show. Tune in every Thursday live at 4 p.m. You will see people that are motivational, inspirational, inspiring, and of course, entertaining. We have a great time. We learn things about how big celebrities are inspiring big names here in Fresno. Hugh Hefner is the reason we have Fresno Magazine, and Gnarly Charlie got his start because Johnny Carson told him to. So, tune in, you'll learn something new, and have a good time.
Visit the beautiful city of Exeter and visit exeterchamber.com. The Chamber's mission is to promote, support, and enable Exeter to prosper, creating a strong local economy, promoting community, and providing networking opportunities. Follow the Chamber on Facebook and Twitter, or give the Chamber a call at 559-592-2919.
Call PG's Catering for all your special occasions. Available to cook any variety of foods and desserts that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Call 559-558-2682 and follow Peaches on Instagram and Facebook.
Is everything in life draining you? Come to Stretch 360. Our professional staff can offer you many options for relaxation like deep tissue or hot stone massages, infrared medical grade sauna. Once you leave us, you'll look and feel like $1,000,000. Stretch 360. Relaxation is only a stretch away.
Call Nicole Hamilton McManus at 559-917-3040 to buy this perfect, romantic, rustic ranch with a two-home setup. Located only 12 miles from the entrance to Kings Canyon and Sequoia National Parks. This beautifully maintained property boasts of amenities and custom features. The main home is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,670 square feet. The guest home is 2 bedrooms, 1 bath with 1,163 square feet. Also features a 75-foot lap pool, a cabana, a beautiful garden, and 2 small nearby ponds. Call Nicole Hamilton McManus at 559-917-3040.
The Art of Becoming Who We Are in Christ by Jolene Kennedy is a book about the process of maturity as we find our true identity, since God's promises must be received, embraced, and activated within us. Get your copy today and check out JoleneKennedy.com. Fleet Feet Fresno is more than just a running and sportswear store. Fleet Feet Sports' mission is to provide runners and other active Fresnans with gear that fits their individual needs, training that helps them reach their fitness goals, and races that satisfy their competitive spirit. Get to know Fleet Feet Fresno today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. We're going to have a very short last segment here, so I want to cover a few things real quickly. Holmes writes, he says, because life with a capital L is in you, and truth is in you, and the Spirit is in you, and power is in you. He says, if you will wait on this power, this truth, this light, they will guide you within you, not outside you. There's a truth within you, a power within you, a presence within you, and it will guide you. Our calling, if you will, is to turn up our ability to listen to that individually. He says, since we are fundamentally mental beings, we can think ourselves into being unhappy and depressed, or we can think ourselves into being happy. He said, did it ever occur to you that you can also think yourself into being well? Remember, the body heals itself, not the doctor, not the pill. Sometimes they do things that help us, help the body in healing, but that's the best they can do. But imagine a power that can help you at a greater and higher degree, that open doors, releases that which is within you, that seeks to demonstrate perfection and wellness and wholeness. It is available. It's available to each of us. He says, we must become the master of our own thinking. This is the only way we can truly realize freedom and joy. He says, therefore, we'll have to turn our thoughts away from lack, want, and limitation, and let them dwell on good. As I've said many times, Dr. Johnny Coleman's concept, thought, there's a bigger God, you have a bigger God. Make that your mantra throughout the day. Let not your heart be troubled. Move forward with a sense of adventure. In the day, realizing the gratitude that you have. No matter what life brings, consequences could always be a whole lot worse. The lessons could be more severe. Be grateful for the good. And as you do that, as they say oftentimes, having an attitude of gratitude, probably one of the most important things that you can have as you go through your day is to be grateful for all that life brings. He says, we are a thinking center in life, and the chief characteristic of the law of life is that it responds to our thought. Our slightest thought sets up a vibration in it, sets its creative intelligence in motion, and causes it to create circumstances for which will correspond to our thought. If most of your reactions are unhappy or morbid, if you have a great deal of illness, limitation, unhappiness in your life, if you are surrounded by unfriendly circumstances and situations, whether of people or of things, then no doubt a great part of your subconscious reactions have been of a negative character. So, as I said earlier, as we look out into the world today, even our more circumscribed world, and we see chaos and disorder and all sorts of stuff, right? Whatever that stuff is, we can create a greater calm, a greater peace, a greater harmony within ourselves. You know, when I opened up the beginning of this chapter 3, and Holmes talks about the fish living in water and not recognizing the water that surrounds it. But the body of the fish is also composed of a great amount of water. We live in an energy called life. And it surrounds us, it permeates us, but it also expresses as us, through us. And we have this incredible gift of consciousness whereby we can recognize our relationship to this energy. We can, if you will, focus the direction that this energy expresses in our life. Having faith. When we moved away from our relationship with the divine, from being one of deeds to being one of belief and faith, it's like a child that moves from crawling to walking to going out and meeting the world. We've just allowed the world to tell us things that we've accepted. And in our acceptance of those things, we've kept ourselves, life has kept us, in a sense, in a state of bondage. It's time for us to declare our freedom. It's time for us to create a greater world. It's time for us to accept our family as a wholeness, a oneness. To love our neighbors as ourselves, to love God as we love ourselves with all that we are, because we are God expressed as us. Does it really get any better than that? That's it for this week, folks. I'll see you. We'll take a break through the holidays, and we'll see you after the first of the year. Have a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, however you express and experience it. Know that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, the presence of God watches over you, because truly, wherever you are, God is there. All is well. It's wonderful, and I'll see you when I come back.